Viewers, we are super excited to have you on board. This is Couples Will Show, where we write down our love will when we are alive, and this can only be found on Wema TV, the voice of hope. Welcome to tonight's show. We are glad that you are there, and we are happy that you have continued supporting us. You have continued following us. Thank you very much. And you know what? We are already in December. Happy new month. And we are counting days to Christmas. Yes, and to be precise, we have 21 days to Christmas. And we are going to have a beautiful time tonight. And tonight we are talking about emotional abuse. Emotional abuse. And I have an amazing guest, a wonderful lady. She is a professional counselor, and she's the one who will be handling this topic. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us your name, please.
So my name is Pauline Yekanga.
Yes.
As you rightfully said, I'm a counselor.
Yeah.
I'm also a mediator. And I'm a wife.
Yeah.
And I'm a mother of 2 daughters.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm a Christian.
Thank you.
That's a bit about myself.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tonight we are handling emotional abuse.
Yes.
And I thank God that we have brought a professional in that area. And so we know we are not just going to handle it in the way, but we are handling it professionally.
Professionally,
and so
the right way.
To start with,
Yes.
what is emotional abuse? Maybe there's someone who is out there watching us, and he or she is wondering, what are these guys talking about? What is emotional abuse? So what is emotional abuse?
Yeah, maybe I'm sure many wonder because we hear a lot about physical abuse, not emotional.
Yeah.
But emotional abuse is a form of it's actually violence where someone's rights are violated emotionally. You know, where a partner wants to control the other party, their spouse, in their emotions. So they are not able, so this other person is not able to willingly or in a free way express themselves. So all the time, this other spouse will suppress the feelings or the ideas of their spouse.
Yeah.
So that is where there is control of emotions of the other spouse. Yes.
What do you say? How can we have an emotional abuse in a marriage, and yet these are people who says they claim they love one another?
I know. Yeah, most of the time when you find somebody emotionally abusing their spouse, this other person must be having issues, insecurities. You know, if it's the husband, he has insecurities, and so he will try by all means to control the wife.
Yeah.
And the vice versa as well. Women also. Maybe a woman is a strong-willed, and maybe there are things that she would not want to come out.
Yeah.
And so she will suppress the ideas or anything that is coming from because of temperaments. She could be having a husband who is easily controlled, if I may say in quotes. And so anybody emotionally abusing their spouse is having issues they are dealing with, but suppressing them, and so projects them on the other person. And I'm sure we're going to get there. I mean, how would you know then there's emotional
In fact,
abuse?
that is the next question I wanted to ask.
Yes.
How can one know he or she is being abused emotionally?
Yes.
Because there are people out there that would think this person is doing this because they love me, so they are correcting me.
Yes.
So how can one know
Yes.
that this now is emotional abuse?
Emotional abuse. Now, one of the things we must know, when there is we call it abuse when it is something that has happened over time. You see, it's something chronic.
Yeah.
You know, you can be corrected today, you can be yelled at today, you can be told stop today, and it's it's not the norm. But now when it becomes the norm, that every time I want to give an idea, it is shut down.
Yeah.
So it means that I cannot think, I cannot give an, yet I have a mind. I mean, when you're starting a marriage, when you're getting married, of course you are in your right mind.
Yeah.
You have been able to make a decision, I want to start a family. And so now when your spouse starts shooting down your ideas, or I have a brilliant idea, we are doing, no,
Yeah.
we are doing this all the time. When it becomes chronic, now that becomes an emotional abuse.
Yeah.
So the yelling, for example, someone yells at you all the time. You know, they come home, you're not even with them, there's nothing, they left home in the morning, comes home and just starts making noise. So there's no peace in that house, and it is chronic, it is over time. Now that's emotional abuse, because it means that you cannot enjoy peace in your own home. Every time someone comes and yells at you, remember I talked about ideas, you cannot even be able to give your own ideas. Your own ideas are always shut down.
Yeah.
Another way you can know that there's emotional abuse is when you're not able to, you cannot be able to make even your own personal decision. Anything you try to do. The first one was when they're having a discussion.
Yeah.
Now maybe I want to do something, I'm controlled. I cannot do, I want to go to make my hair.
Yeah.
I want to go to, no, you not go now, you know.
Or you want to go and have time with your girlfriend.
You want to go to have time with your girlfriends. You're not allowed, and so you're confined at home.
Yeah.
Yet remember, as much as you're a couple, you're also independent. You're not dependent on the other person. You're a whole person. As a husband, as a wife, you're also whole.
Yeah.
And so you have your needs, your
Yeah.
personal needs, which
Yes.
will not always be met in marriage. And so when those are violated, they are controlled. Then that's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
You cannot even think. You stop thinking. You I would say maybe you start becoming a zombie. So it's whatever you're told and
You're just
everything.
there.
Yes, and if you have children, of course that will be projected to
Yeah.
them. So they realize, mom these days is having mood swings. You know, you start getting depressive tendencies. You know,
Yes.
going down into depression because you don't think anymore. You know, and possibly you don't even go to work. You
Yeah.
see, you don't even maybe have an 8 to 5 or a business. You're confined at home. You could still be having the 8 to 5, but every time you come home, there's this dark cloud. And so when you start experiencing, you're not growing as a person.
Yeah.
You're always sad, you're always moody. Then right there is emotional abuse. Yes.
And so you're not even able to express yourself.
Exactly.
Such that you can find a couple. So this spouse is going through something, but you cannot even discuss with your husband, you cannot discuss with your wife.
Exactly.
Because you are emotionally abused.
You're
So you are fearing what he or she will say.
Exactly. Yeah. And thank you. You mentioned the fear. You have fear around them. So they come and even you're somewhere, possibly you've even gone, there's a family gathering, but you're always, there's a lot of anxiety within you. You don't know what he can do, because now it also elevates to the level of, you know, you're shot down in front of people. You know, he rebukes you in front of people, or she.
Yeah.
You allow me not to use he all the time.
Yeah.
Even she.
Yeah.
You know, they'll say something that will make your self-esteem go down. You know, when you're an adult and corrected before people, I mean, you're not a child. Even children, we don't correct them before people these days.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
we want to help them maintain their self-esteem and their self-confidence. So you want to take them aside and just deal with them maybe in the bedroom. Now, this is an adult. You're being rebuked in front of people, yelled at in front. I mean, definitely that is going to really lower your self-confidence.
Yes.
And you wonder, so every time you're with them, you're walking on eggshells. Now when you realize that fear grips you all the time, they come home or you're somewhere in public, then you're going through emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there are these people who have this tendency. I don't know whether it's a cycle. And so they will come this month, they abuse you emotionally. Next time they take you to honeymoon, he's taking you all over all the coffee dates, you know.
Yes.
Then the other month it is physical. Then the other month mnarudia emotional.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah. And that is partly a narcissistic kind of behavior. You know, when somebody is because that's control really. I mean, I can beat you this month, I can I can be emotionally abusive, then I'm buying you a gift, I'm taking you to, and so the cycle, it's a cycle. And then when you realize it's really persisted, then this spouse who is experiencing that needs to realize they need to get help.
Yeah.
You know, but most of the time, you know, you'll be like, and you see, most of the time what happens is when the emotional aspect is not happening, this spouse will show it to people. See, I even do this, I bought her a car.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're telling people you're not happy, and they're wondering, you're not happy, you're driving a good car.
Yes.
You
this
see,
man has built a nice house.
yeah, he's built
You
a
know.
nice. So even somebody will go to the parents and you tell them you're struggling, and the parent will tell you, what do you mean? You're better than so and so.
Yes.
You're doing well. And I'll tell you this, in my time, my years of counseling, I've come across people who have been in a marriage for so many years and have waited just for their parents to tell them, if it is not okay, it is okay. You can just come home for some time so that you seek help. And I've had some say, every time I went home, I was told, see, you're doing well and all. Yet they would suspect I'm not happy, but they always told me, you people are okay, marriages are always like that, there's no marriage that is not okay. But remember, I said, it's not about a one-off thing. You know, I'm not saying marriage is okay 24/7.
Yeah.
But when you realize it's most of the time is when there's abuse, then there's a problem. And so this person will come and tell you, the time my parents told me, when it was maybe 20 years, I think we've actually seen you're struggling. That's when they leave. But they leave with a lot of many wounds.
Yeah.
You know, we are not saying that we are propagating or saying people should leave their marriages, but we always say that a separation helps. To
So
just
it is okay
get
to
help.
take breaks.
It is okay to take a break, because then you're gonna break. You might break, you might get into depression, and you see, depression again now is another whole journey altogether, which can be chronic.
Yeah.
You know, you're on medication all the time, and it is something that could have been worked on.
Yes.
And so this person who goes in cycles, the person being violated, being abused, needs to realize this is a cycle.
Yeah.
We are happy today, tomorrow he brings he puts me down, he brings a gift. So they need to wake up and realize this is not a good cycle. This needs to stop. And so what happens is, the abused needs to set boundaries. I need help. I need to put a boundary. I cannot just put a face that we are fine. If it persists, then there's a problem. That's an abuse. Yeah, it's not these ones of a normal conflict in a family. That one, you will know. I mean, as a spouse, you will know this is a normal conflict, because you'll definitely differ. You're different. Even brothers and sisters differ. So it is okay for a man and a husband and a wife to differ. But now when there's a boundary it gets to, you cannot take it anymore. And so if you talk about it and set boundaries, and those boundaries are violated, then you need to seek help. Yes.
Now, when we talk about seeking help, where do you seek help from? Because there are people, you'll find they will go to their pastors. And all what your pastor will tell you, we will pray.
I know.
You know, is prayer enough? The others will go to the parents, and the parents will tell you, let me tell you, hata mimi nilivumilia zaidi ya hii. You see? So when we are talking about seeking help, where should they go to seek this help from?
You see, what I normally say, I mean, I am a pastor's child, so I really respect pastors. But I always say that we are called, everybody has their calling. I always feel pastor's work is pastoral. I mean, it's to feed the flock and all. But I know there are pastors who have done counseling. And so I'm sure that pastor will now, when that client comes, will do pastoral, but now will shift caps, you know, put on the hat of now a counselor, because pastoral and counseling are totally different. You know, right here, I come in, I don't impose my values as a counselor. I want to listen. I am not imposing, let's pray. No, I want to hear out the client. So this person who is going through abuse can seek counseling from a counselor, a therapist, can they could, like I said, some pastors would help, so you could go to a pastor, but it's always good to get professional counseling. And I know there's a lot of stigma around counseling. I mean, there are people who come and say, I had said I can never see a counselor, and it is okay. We probably are not there yet, but I think people are warming up to the fact that seeing a counselor does not mean you're sick. You know, we used to think maybe your mind, if I lost my mind, it's not about, I also have a therapist.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a counselor, but I have a therapist. So because I have to also deal with my own issues, because everybody has issues anytime to deal with. In fact, we always say everybody needs a therapist. So I would really highly recommend that they see a therapist. And let this person be someone they don't know, because it makes it more objective. I know there are people who go home, like you said, but we always say being counseled or guided by a relative, unlikely there will be objectivity. And objectivity means they will want to listen to you without giving you ideas. You know, some relatives will fuel. Oh, if they did that, how could they do that? So there's no objectivity. Somebody else, a counselor will say, could I also meet your spouse?
Yes.
Could we have, can I meet your spouse? Can they be coming for therapy together or different sessions? But a relative, and it's not because they don't wish you well, but we are not able to be objective. You'll find some relatives are able to be objective, but you'd rather not chance. So get somebody who does not know you, and then they walk you through that journey. Yes.
Now you have gone to seek for the help. You have maybe you have gone to a counselor.
Yes.
And maybe the emotional abuse has gone to a higher level, and now the counselor have recommended you can take a break. How do you go to your spouse and break this news?
Okay, now one thing, let me correct something. We do not advise in counseling. So I'll not even tell my client take a break. In the discussion with my client, I will ask her, what do you think would be the best way? The way you're feeling, you're saying this and this, what would be? So I could say, I mean, there are people who take a break. I could maybe bring it up, but I will not advise it. I will not tell them to do, because our work is not telling. So I'll let it come from the spouse, from my client. So when my client says, I feel I may need to take a break, so I'll ask them, so how would you go about that? You know, and so the client will say, I'll do this. Okay, so where will you go? Okay, if you have children, what would you do with them? So I will the client will guide me on her thoughts.
Yes.
So I will ask her, so how will you bring this up? And then maybe say, maybe we are not in talking terms. So we probably have been communicating maybe through mobile. There are people who are living together and yet using mobile phones or email. So I'll probably tell him or her that I'll be going to this place. I'm going to my parents' home. I need a timeout. But it's always good to communicate to the spouse. If they feel there's going to be violence, because maybe it has graduated to emotional and then physical, then they can involve somebody. They could involve the family. They could involve it if it's too physical, even the police. I mean, I need to get out of here. Maybe they also need to go and get, what do you call it? This thing that they give at the police.
P3.
Yes. No, this one so that they do not come to you. Maybe it's a P3. There's something the police gives somebody that the person cannot come where they are, because maybe there's need of there's safety is at risk.
Yes.
So we will discuss that with the client, and then if she says this is what I want to do, then you tell her, then you could take that path. So in therapy, we do not give suggestions. We can suggest, but we cannot tell the client do this. Because at the end of the day, it's her, and it's her thing, it's her issue. And so I may tell her what to do, and then my way doesn't work.
Yes.
I mean, she's the one
Yes.
who lives with the spouse.
Yeah.
But I'll be there to facilitate by listening, by walking with them.
Yes.
And of course, like I'm telling them, do you think involving the police would be? So I'll post it like that. Do you think?
Yeah.
And then they'll think about it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, next week,
Yes.
there's a man I'm bringing on this show, and he happens to be a pastor, and he has been emotionally abused by the wife. How do, especially now when it comes to a man dealing with the wife, how as a man do you deal with such a wife who is abusing you emotionally? Bearing in mind that I am the head of this family, I am the priest of this family, how do you deal with that as a man?
Yeah. Yeah, it is unfortunate that is happening, and it is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had that in my therapy rooms. It's no different from really what we are saying, but the man needs to. I know a man has the ego.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the head of the family. I'm a pastor. You say he's a pastor,
Yeah.
so that even gives him a higher heart. But then it comes to a point where you have to unmask and just decide, you know what, I'm going through challenges. You're a wounded soldier. You are a wounded pastor. So it is okay to seek therapy. I would really encourage a pastor or anybody, even who is in authority, to just seek out for help and realize that it's not about my being a pastor. This is the reality.
Yeah.
And what I teach, what I tell people is happening to me.
Yeah.
Because I could be telling people something and it's actually happening to me as well. It's like to say, like for example, the doctors, see, they're also getting COVID. You know, it's not that because they are treating, they can't contract COVID. They're also getting, so yes, you're a pastor, you've worked with people who have been abused even as men. So as a man, I would encourage him and any other to still go that way. Seek help, get therapy. If you need some time to yourself, it is still okay. And of course, maybe if they have children involved, even maybe children who understand what is happening, because children understand, even when they are young, they know mommy and daddy are not okay. So it is okay to just involve the children and just say, things are not working for me, between me and your mom. I need to take some time away, but I will still be checking up on you. Making the children aware, but then don't bring the children in between in terms of, now this spouse refuses this spouse to see their children. No spouse should refuse their children to be seen by their spouse, unless of course there is violence to their children. But any spouse wanting to get to meet their children should be allowed. You know, recently I had a lady who they were going to court, and because it got really bad and they had to go through a divorce. And what happened is that she said at the court she would grab the children because they would want to run to the dad because they have separated and the dad is there. The children want to run to and she would grab them. And she said because now after that she went through counseling, she realized, what was that? Why was I refusing my children to see their father? That is their father. It will not change. So what am I saying? Even as you go through that, you might have children who are of age. Let them just know that you have differences with each other. You're sorting them out, but you will still co-parent with their mother or with their father. So in this case, the father will tell them. So there come a time where you just realize the ego will be affected, but you just need to admit, I need help. Because then you can't go on like that. I mean, we have had pastors who have killed themselves, who have committed suicide. I mean, because you can't imagine, how can I tell people, how can I tell a counselor that I'm going through? And at times, even when you don't say, it's actually people can actually see. You know, there are those things we don't speak, but they are visible. You can actually see there's something wrong. So if anything, admitting, and that's normally the first step of healing. Admitting I have a problem. We have a problem. I am being abused by my wife. I need help. And then now you go for the help.
Now, is there anything like having patience with one another when it comes to someone who is abusing you emotionally?
I mean, patience I think we shouldn't misuse patience,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yes.
And that's why I talked about boundaries. There are boundaries in marriage. We shouldn't misuse patience.
Yes.
Patience is a virtue. And I'm sure you tell your children that. I
Yes.
tell my children
Yes.
that patience is a virtue. So we
Yes.
want it ingrained in them. But then it shouldn't be misused. It doesn't mean when you're abused today, then you're just there and you're just there and you're just there. If it becomes chronic, when I said when it gets out of hand, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You can't say you're being patient. Patient up to where? To the grave? Because then you might be patient to the grave.
Yes.
You want to die. Something will happen to you. If they can really abuse you, put you down in front of people, it means they wouldn't care even to take your life.
Yes.
Or just to get you sick, because you'll get sick eventually. So what I would say is let's not misuse patience. Let us act when we need to act, and let us set boundaries. Let them know this is how we're gonna do this marriage. Talk together. But now when it gets up to here, no, I think we need to involve somebody else, and I cannot take it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying I cannot take. You have done all that you could, but you cannot take it anymore.
Yeah.
It is okay to get there.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, as we wind up, how can one come out of emotional abuse? How
Can one come out emotional? One thing, you see, the spouse who is abusing the other spouse also knows there's a problem. And remember I said anybody abusing someone has issues that they are not dealing with. Maybe from growing up, maybe grew up and maybe is unhappy with life, maybe has father issues.
Yes.
Or sibling issues. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, not just that. Maybe they were bullied, maybe just something which they are suppressing, and so they come and bring it out on their spouse now, which is now the abuse. So a couple can actually get out of abuse if they both agree we need help. Remember I said the start of healing is saying that we actually need help. I don't like it.
Yes.
The environment in this home is not good. And there's nothing I admire is when I get called by a couple and they say we want therapy.
Yeah.
And some come and they are not talking. Actually some come and wengine ako kwa car, they are leaving the car, mwingine alitoka kwa gari, and they are walking towards there. Or maybe now I'm doing more of online. They are there and they are not talking. I don't know what or they say, let her answer, let him answer.
Yes.
But eventually you start seeing they are getting back together.
Wow.
So what I would say is it's not all lost. A couple, if they realize things are not okay, if they can get help. Now, if you're not realizing it together, because one can totally refuse, then you who has realized there's a problem, you need to seek help for yourself. Seek help. Even when an individual comes and they are married, we don't major on the one who is not there, because you see we can't do anything about them. But you who has come, we will work with you to build your mental health, your stability, and then when you work on yourself, you'll know, is this an environment I can be in? What is this environment doing to me? And then they will decide on the way forward. It doesn't mean, do I need some time out?
Yeah.
Is it an environment I can still stay in, and by that I've worked on myself, I can still manage? But an environment dictates so many things.
Yes.
So it is possible for a couple to get out of emotional abuse.
Wow.
But of course we know that there are couples who will never do it together, therapy. So if one person feels, then they need to rescue themselves. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for coming.
Thank
we appreciate.
you.
I know our viewers, you have learned something today. Maybe there's someone who is watching us and he or she is wondering, how can I get in touch with this amazing lady? Maybe they are going through something in their marriage.
Yes.
And they would love you to work with them.
Yes.
How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm online. I also do physical meeting of clients, those who are not able to do online counseling. So yes, and my number is 0706 670 670. A very easy number for my clients to remember, and I'm on you can write an email at pauline@wawira.com. So my counseling firm is Wawira Counseling.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was nice being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I'm on Facebook and Pauline Wawira Gekanga.
Yes.
That's my personal Facebook. But then I run a show every Friday before and after I Say I Do, a Facebook Live one, and there's a lot there that we talk about before I Say I Do and after I Say I Do.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having
We
me.
appreciate you.
Asante.
I know you'll come again.
Yes,
and
definitely.
again and again.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, our viewers. That is it. We come to the end of our show, and this is Couples Will Show, where we write down our love will while we are alive. We have always said on this show that we don't want our love story to be told when we are gone. And this can only be found on Wema TV, the voice of hope. Till next Friday, thank you very much. My name is Willie Kinyash.
Wema TV, the voice of hope.